Welcome to Sit Down for Stand Up with me, Daniel Farr, and Philip Reese. What is it? What's their stage name? Man in the Jacket.
Joker in the Jacket.
Joker in the Jacket. Okay, how'd you come up with that?
So I went on a couple of cruises, kind of start of lockdown, and got a couple of jackets to wear for it. And I was originally got into comedy. I was meant to. I will get into it, I'm sure, a bit more. But I originally was going to do a charity event before COVID, and it got paused, shall we say, for obvious reasons. So I had the jacket. So my first gig I did, I wore one of the cruise jackets, and I was like, okay, I've got other jackets. And then it's just now become a very expensive part of the hobby and the habit of comedy that every gig, I've not done a single gig now without a jacket.
Okay, how big is the wardrobe, or am I too scared to ask?
The wardrobe is restricted because my wife will not allow me to take over too much of it. So I now have a car boot with quite a few jackets in.
So it's not a one in, one out system, so we haven't got to
That's
sacrifice
her
anything.
plan. That was her request. I haven't managed to quite get there yet. So I normally, yeah, I've got rid of a few now, which was difficult to part with some. But yeah, I'd buy a couple probably every month and then rotate them round as often as I can. Go depending on like where I am. Try not to wear the same jacket in the same place and mixes up the videos and stuff as well that I share. So it's nice to have something that is a little bit unique, I guess, versus the 6 million comedians that I see every time I'm out and around.
Yeah, no, I could put it. I mean, I'm a t-shirt and a chinos guy, so I'm the one in the million demographic. One out,
Yeah,
sorry, of the
yeah,
999,000 demographic,
yeah,
unfortunately. So where do you sort of get them from? Do you go like online, or like I imagine charity
yeah.
shops are
I
quite good.
normally the charity shops can be quite good, but they're normally quite standard blazer in a charity shop. So I like to try and go a little bit more, extravagant. There's certainly a few with glitter and a bit of silver and a bit of gold. Vinted is my new best friend.
Okay, cool.
That's the answer because I won't spend a lot of money on them because it's already enough to spend money on like, travel to gigs and drinks when you're there. So trying to keep the budget under control. So yeah, normally Vinted is quite good for it.
Okay. How do you find them? Because I usually go into this later, but you sort of gone onto it already. How do you find sort of like the gigging slash drinking scene? Because I'm always a bit of two 3 pint Dutch courage before I start.
Yeah, I think as I've done it a bit more, I've cut down the number of drinks I feel like I do or don't need. So I'm normally one just because it's nice to have a beer and then sometimes a second, but I won't go too much because normally I'm driving at some point of the journey, whether that's all the way there or kind of to the train station and once I get back home. So normally a couple at most, but I don't need it so much for Dutch courage. I think I just like a beer, to be honest.
Enough. And when did you first start gigging, and how did you yeah, a polite way to say it, how did you get the balls to get on the stage in the first place
Yeah.
and just go for it?
The first, so as I sort of mentioned earlier, I got um into it via a charity event.
Yeah.
So my brother signed up to do the charity boxing match, and as I was donating to his page, I was like, "Oh, they do other events. Like, I don't really want to get punched in the face,
Mm.
so maybe I've always liked stand up. I've always been a really, really big fan of stand up comedy. So when I saw that, it seemed like a good idea and a good route to go down because it came with like a 8 week workshop and then the showcase at the end. So it was a gentle way into it, or at least that was the plan. So it was meant to be pre-COVID. So 20, it was meant to be in the I think the March of 2020, March April. Got postponed, so we did nothing for a couple of years, and then I think 2023 the courses started up again. So I did the 8 weeks, and then the showcase was in the November in Backyard Club.
So that was my next. It was a backyard club, but that's is that Bethnal Green?
Yeah, Bethnal Green. So 300
Yes.
people sat in front of you for your first gig. So all the open mics after that didn't seem quite as terrifying.
No. Okay. Yeah. So you've been doing it for about, well, it's about 18, 19 months.
No, a bit more now. I think this November will be 3 years.
Okay.
But that was I guess, the charity event. I then kind of had a couple of months after that just to kind of work out whether or not I enjoyed it enough or wanted to try and carry it on or yeah. So it's become a bit of an addiction would be a strong word, but definitely a relentless hobby. I try and do a couple of gigs a week if I can.
Okay. And
Um,
so is it mostly around London, or do we travel outside?
Mostly, I've started to travel out a bit more because in London it's mostly 5 minute nights and it's mostly bringers and stayers. Although I always stay, I always like to stay because I like to see other people. Like I said, I enjoy comedy, so I'll
Yeah.
always stay to the end of the gig, even if it's miles away. It means getting home late. But yeah, out of London you get a bit more time and it's a different audience. So it's starting to now that I've got something I think I can call a set. It's about then trying it with different audiences to see the reactions and see how it builds.
Okay, and how do you feel like your set has like have you got a 5, a 10? Like what's like the longest set you'd sort of feel
I've
confident jumping on?
I could definitely jump onto a 10 with no problem. I've been doing mostly tens at the moment, so I'm in a really kind of comfortable space with my 10. I'd say comfortable, depending. Sometimes you get the audience reactions of silence, and you're like, okay, maybe not. I
Yes.
generally feel comfortable in it. You can't, you never know. The room can vary from one night to the next, but I've definitely got a 10. Um, I've got a really encouraging set of colleagues. So actually, the first gig I did, I've mentioned this on another podcast before. Like the front row is all you can see at the backyard club, right? The bright
Yes.
lights, your first gig, and all I could see was my line of about 12 colleagues in t-shirts with my face on, who were
Oh,
there to
awesome.
support me. But actually, that's a little bit more scary and off-putting. Um, so yeah, I've learned quite, that's probably the hardest thing I could have done in that kind of first gig stage. So the other nights now, it doesn't seem quite as daunting and quite as threatening. But then a couple of months after that, a lot of people from work who didn't go were like, "Oh, can you do one at work?" So we do these little events at work where someone will come and do a bit of a talk and we'll do lunch. So I ended up doing about 20 minutes,
Mm.
but it wasn't a 20-minute set in the same. I couldn't have gone to a club and done 20 minutes because some of that was half stories and bits people know and referring to the room versus 20 minutes of written material. So I've worked with the same core jokes right the way through. Like I've tweaked and I've moved the order around quite a lot. So I can drop other jokes in I haven't done for a while and probably get to, I could probably do 15 if I actually sat down and planned it out. I've got enough material. It's just remembering it all, which is why I can't do one-liners. I'm a storytelling kind of remember what I'm going to do and it needs a flow.
Yes,
Like,
I'm a storyteller, comedian as well.
yeah.
And just, my next three questions you sort of just answered as I've
Oh,
gone
there you
on.
go.
As you've gone, I'm just going to sit here to this and just let you,
Just let me talk. It's
just let
fine.
you. So the question was going to be, from 3 years ago to now, how has your set sort of developed and evolved?
It's definitely yeah, I've definitely tweaked. Like I've perfected bits or what I think and maybe perfected them. There is a bit more flow to it and a bit more structure. I think the big difference now is I can deal with the what goes wrong or if it goes wrong or if I forget something. Like my first couple of gigs when forgot what I was doing, that was it. I was like, I'm going to go and sit down now, which is a good, sensible place to be at instead of just being stood there for half your act with everyone staring at you. So yeah, I had that kind of self-awareness of it, but I'm now a bit more comfortable with the silences and with the pauses and like refer back to it. If I don't get the reaction I'm expecting, I can kind of bounce around with it a little bit more than I could. So definitely, yeah, just the confidence in myself, I guess, has definitely improved in that sense. Um,
Okay.
and I like to try and invite people back who I know have seen me before, because then they're like, oh, okay, so they've heard the joke, but it's slightly different. And how I'm on stage is definitely better, I would say.
I think I watched a podcast, Chris Williams and Jimmy Carr,
Mm.
who's a Slough boy.
Yeah,
See how I little slip that one in there, with
yeah.
my Slough knowledge. He said, like with when people go see comedians, they'll forget the sets, but they won't forget the emotion they feel.
Yeah,
So like they might have seen you a couple of times, but then that is what a fan becomes. You've got your greatest hits. They love to see it and they
yeah,
love the feeling when they come to see you.
yeah, exactly. So there's a couple of bits that maybe if they're not planned in my set, I know that they'll get a reaction, so I can kind of just go back to actually, yeah, that will work. Like I've got out of the habit of the trying to like have my notes in my hand or trying to write like something there because I used it too much as a crutch to start with. I had it on my
Yes.
hand even if I didn't need it. Then I was using it, and then it just disrupts your own flow anyway.
Mm.
So there's times I still wish I had it on there, and I forget exact like but it's fine. I'm now comfortable with going, all right, fine. Like, did a gig on
Now the other
Tuesday.
avenues.
Yeah, exactly. I did a gig on Tuesday and I like got no reaction at all. Completely forgot what I was going to say, moaned about that and then got a bigger laugh. I'm like, how does that get you the reaction? Like, why do you enjoy seeing people mess up rather than a well-crafted joke? But I get
Or,
it because I do the same.
or they laugh at the wrong point. So
Sometimes, yeah,
I did one yesterday at the Hamlet, and there was only about seven people there, all waiting to get on stage, not one
yeah,
person there. And I was on second to last. I didn't hear laughter for the first six acts, so this is going to be awful. And on one of my bits, I just went, "Oh, I went on holiday," and someone laughed. It doesn't. That's like, that's just a statement. There's no actual like
there's
material,
nothing, is there? Nothing at all.
and it threw me a little bit. But so you said you've been doing about 3 years. If so someone's sort of coming new into the scene, 2025, they want to try their luck at comedy. What would you advise them?
Firstly, do it. Like, there's so many people that go, "Oh, I couldn't do what you do. I'm scared to do it." I'm like, but it's genuinely one of the least scary things I've done. Like standing up in front of a room full of people that are supposed to laugh. If they don't laugh, you're not going to see them again. So what? So like, it's just do it. I've got one friend of mine who will come to. He's been to so many of my gigs, and he enjoys going. I'm like, do it. Like, get on there yourself. Have a go yourself. Like, just try it. But yeah, it's do that first gig, and it is, as I think most comedians will say, right? It's at that point you either get the bug for it or you just go, that's not for me.
Yeah,
And then everyone's
completely.
there going, I've done so many gigs. Like, yeah, just don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun, but you've got to be a little bit aware of the audience and what you're going to say. Like, I don't like it when people are like, you can't say that because you can, right? Freedom of speech. As long as you're not like being deliberately horrible to someone, you can make a joke. And it's the people that get offended on behalf of other people that frustrate me more than anything else. But as long as you come at things because it's a joke and you're having fun, like, but not at their expense, I'm all for it.
You literally just stole my question from me because my next
Oh,
one
I'm
was
good
going
at
to be:
this.
is there anything you can't joke about? So,
I think there is, well, there is and there isn't. There shouldn't be, so long as it's coming from the right place of this is a joke and not an attack on someone or some people or a belief or a culture or like then you're just being horrible for the sake of it. And I don't understand where you actually get the personal enjoyment out of doing it.
yes,
That for me is a weird one.
yeah,
But yeah, I think if you position it right and people are clear it's a joke. Like I was at a gig last week and this guy went, "Oh, all of you people, all of you wealthy people in the audience," and everyone went, well, look where we are. Like we're in West, no, well, yeah, we're West, a part of West London that's not as affluent as another, right? And they're like, oh yeah, right, as if that's us. And then he went, right, well, imagine you're on benefits, and they went, oh, you can't say that. It's like the guy's trying everything he can to try and relate to the audience somewhere. Like, give him a break. Like, let him have a
yeah,
go at it. And if the joke doesn't work, just don't laugh.
yeah.
The best
Well,
way to do it. But
I had a similar experience on last Monday. I was in where's it called, Shoreditch, and I tried a new open saying, I don't like the left. They've made it so you can't laugh at fat people anymore. It makes this job a lot harder, and I'd lost them. Anything I said after that, just
nothing.
nothing. So, tell me about what's the best thrill you've had on stage, followed up by your best bomb.
Oh, I think the best has probably just got to be the first gig because it was completely unknown to me and everything I was saying was working. Like I went overtime because I do that sometimes, but it was a really supportive room because everyone was there because we knew it was for charity and stuff. But for your first gig in front of 300 people and getting laughs at the points you were expecting to, like that probably gave me the false hope that I could have a go at doing it a bit more. So it was probably a good thing, a
Yeah,
blessing and a curse, I guess. Um, so yeah, I there haven't been many where I've had like a massive applause break and gone, oh my God, I've nailed it and I'm now a comedian. Like I think I'm quite grounded in terms of I've never turned around and gone, that's it, I'm gonna smash this and this is my full-time job. Like nearly 3 years in, I've still only been paid about 40 quid and a burger. Like it
yeah.
takes a long time and a lot of dedication to it to kind of call yourself a comedian. I'm not there yet,
In fair,
but I'm enjoying it.
In London, the burger usually costs more than 40 quid. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't get
Yeah.
paid in the venues now.
So yeah, although for tax purposes, of course, I've not been paid for any gigs. What are they
Oh, of
going to do?
course,
Take like
yes.
27p off me?
Oh, well,
There was no cash in
Slough
hand work.
I don't want to revert back to Slough's Jimmy Carr, but you seem to have seems to be a correlation with not paying
Yeah, yeah.
tax and
I don't have the same accountant as Jimmy Carr.
no.
No, because my day job, I'm employed. I'm not self-employed, so I work. I pay my taxes, of course.
Yeah,
And if comedy starts to actually get me regular paid work, of course, but so I've done 180. In fact, tonight is my 180th gig, and
congratulations.
thank you very much. And I've officially been paid twice and got a burger. Like
Yes.
that's not a career. Like that's
No,
not making me money.
no,
That's not paying for that massive jacket collection.
no. And to be honest, if it got to a point where tax was an issue, that is a very positive problem
Yeah,
to have anyways,
exactly.
sort of in
Yeah,
this industry.
exactly. I would deal with that as soon as I could, as soon as it's coming up. But I'm not under the false pretense that I could give up work tomorrow and get paid regularly for comedy. Like it takes a long, long time. A lot of gigs, a lot of stage time, a lot of networking, a lot of kind of learning your trade, and you don't do that just by 5 minutes on stage once a month, right? You've got to put in the hours.
Absolutely.
Um,
Well, where do
but
you see yourself in
about
5 to 10 years on that?
oh, I don't know. I mean, I walked past the Apollo on Monday night on my way to another gig and went, there you go, one day. But I don't set myself too many long-term goals on it. I've always set myself like get to 50 gigs, get to 100 gigs, get to 10 minutes. Um, yeah, like get out of town a little bit, do like little steps,
Hmm.
just try and progress more. I've done a couple of gigs that like I did a festival gig, so it's just trying these new little bits. I'm yet to defeat a gong show, which says a lot about my comedy style. I don't
That
think
was
I'm
going to be my
punching quick enough to do that.
honestly, Philip.
Yes.
You've got the questions, haven't you? My next one was going to be: so you got your 5 minutes, you got your tens. Have you done any roast battles? Have you done any gongs?
I've done a couple. Oh, I've done um, Ding Dong on Saturday, just gone.
Okay.
I did about just under 4 minutes, which was surprising. I wasn't expecting it to last that long.
Mhm.
But that wasn't too bad. That felt good because I was getting laughters at the right point. But
Okay.
I really don't like going to try and impress three people in an audience when the rest of the room are laughing. I,
Yes.
I don't see the like it's good for the comedy CV, but I don't see it doesn't tell you you're getting better at comedy. It doesn't tell you you're good.
No.
It tells you three people don't like one word you've said.
Yeah. And
And
then
normally
they'll
once
get to.
one gong goes, the rest follow. Like it's ding 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 straight away nearly.
Yeah, I completely agree. My first ever time on stage was the comedy store, King Kong.
Nice.
And
I've still yet to do that one. Still yet to get there.
do you know what? There was a lot of people there. It was a great atmosphere. First time ever on stage. I was the second person of the evening. I lasted a minute, 20 seconds, and then deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
And then just,
But
yeah,
that's a massive room
one.
to do it in, right? For your first one.
Oh, after that, I sort of was like, okay, well, like, because I've got a couple of friends who like watch a lot of like comedy, and they said, well, if you can do that one, then try
Yeah.
try one where they can't kick you off the stage, then
Yeah.
sort of progress from there.
Yeah. I've done a couple of friendly gong rooms. I did up the creek as well, but that was
I've got
like
that next Thursday.
I did 2 hours travel for just over 2.5 minutes. I was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like there's for the cost and the time involved in it just to potentially not last. It's not fun. So how long have you been going? How many gigs?
I've done what of it? I did my sixth gig on Wednesday.
Okay, cool.
So
So podcasting,
I've always been a student of comedy, and I
yeah,
thought, and so I just thought to myself, you know what? Because I owned a pub and I no longer own it, so I said,
yeah,
you know what? I've got a bit of free time because we're all moving up to Inverness in 2027. So I was like, well, I've got 2 years now. I've got a little bit in the bank. I'm just going to fully delve into the comedy world.
yeah,
And I thought, what better way to learn than to interview comedians? And to be fair, so far it's been absolutely fantastic.
yeah,
And to be fair, it's more, do you know what? I'm being a phony in a way. I'm pretending I'm doing this from a point of knowledge and insight where I'm just being a sponge in reverse. I'm just
yeah.
anything everyone's saying to me, I just want to lap up and just all the different perspectives.
Yeah, that's why I like to stay at gigs. You learn and see more. Like if you're on first and then you go straight home, what have you learned about the night apart from you can do 5 minutes of talking? Like see, study, understand how rooms work and all of that. Like
Yeah,
little bits. I've gone to gigs before, and the MC's like, "Yeah, I've been running open mic for years." And then you sit there and you go, "This is the worst run night of my life." I won't name and shame because, you
and
know,
I've experienced.
yeah. But I always like keep track of where I'm going. Like, who do I want to go back to? What gigs are good to go to? Which ones help develop you? Which ones just want to fill a room? Which ones don't care? Like all these little bits you only learn by really getting out there and doing it.
So how do you feel about
Um,
bringer spots then? I know they're sort of up north, they're unheard of. We
they
won't
are,
name
yeah.
names, obviously, but
You know what? There's probably only about a small handful of gigs in London that aren't bringers.
yeah,
Realistically, I haven't found many that aren't. I will always try and take someone because I also know if you're in a room full of just comedians, no one cares what you say on stage. You don't get a reaction.
no,
So the benefit of bringers, I fully understand. Like I'm on board with, but it's so hard to regularly take people to gigs and have them want to be there. So yeah,
well,
I
it comes down
completely
to the
understand
price
it,
as
but
well.
yeah, it does.
Right,
If you're
so
expecting to travel into London and like I'm out in Slough, so for me, it costs me more to get the train into London than it does to drive the car, even if I have to pay the ULEZ. So
yes,
I have to choose my battles that way. What's quicker? What's easier? Like if I go into London, I can get there quickly, but coming out of London, when the Elizabeth line goes, Paddington is as far as you're going, mate.
oh,
You're sat there going, right, overground it is then. And all of these little bits you've got to think about. So trying to worry about having someone dragged along that really doesn't want to be there, you're like, okay. And that's another reason to go out of London a bit and do the extra. Like I can travel an hour and a half out of London
mm,
and get a bigger room, more time, potentially. Sometimes a smaller room. It doesn't always work, but I don't have that stress of having to bring someone. And then also keep them busy. Like, because you take a friend, they want to talk to you.
yeah,
And you're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm trying to
100%.
I'm trying to mentally prepare for my set and not forget my jokes. And I'm
Yeah,
going to
down there
try
for a
this. And then
catch
you
up.
completely forget because you're having a chat and you're like, that doesn't work. So I like to try and do it. And I go to some gigs a few times because you build up a relationship with the host and the MC. And you go, like this week, I haven't got a bringer. And they're like, well, I know you. I know you're normally good for it. You know, I know you're going to get a reaction from the crowd. Try and bring one, but all right, not a problem. Like if you can build up that, if you just try and gig in 100 different places, you never build up that connection. I've
Yes,
got 4 or 5 I've gone to several times because I know what I'm getting, they know what they're getting, and it works. And you get some regular feedback, and that's constructive and that's helpful. Go
yeah.
to a room with no one in there, you get nothing. So yeah, it's tricky. We didn't answer my question about my biggest flop either.
No,
Sidetrack. I digressed because I was answering my own questions, wasn't I?
so I mean, so Philip, what is the worst time you've bombed on stage?
Gig number 6.
Okay, cool.
And I know that because I was on the high of the charity gig, the big room. I'd done a couple others, and I was like, yeah, this false thing, right, of going, I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
So my brother had come over from Ireland. He was coming along. I was like, right, I'll show him. I've got this. Stood up, did a minute, be like you, do a minute 20, not even on a gong show, and just went, nope, I've got nothing. And just stood there for like a minute with people staring at me. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like I've got, and that's also where I learned to go. If you've got nothing, sit down. Like,
yeah.
don't just keep trying to work unless you've got notes to refer to or you've got something. And I was just like, no, I don't know. So the one time I'm trying to impress like my brother and go, look at me, I'm amazing. And he's like, well, that was shit. Like I've just paid to come from another country to watch you for a minute. What's the point? So
Still
that
bringer
was
though. So
definitely, yeah, exactly. Still a bringer with me. So that was good. So yeah, but now there are days where, or gigs where I think I've flopped, and actually it's gone quite well. Like I record every gig, I watch them back. That's normally my practice on the way to the next gig. So if I have what I think is a bad gig or a bad opener, because I struggle with my opening line a lot. My opening bit is still my hardest bit to get.
so what is your open? I've watched about 5, 6 of your videos, and one thing I will commend you so highly on is from watching your beginning videos to your end videos. One thing I feel like you've really mastered is pausing during the laugh.
Yeah.
And that's one
Yeah.
thing I
Not stepping
still
on the
need to
laugh,
learn.
right?
Like
Yeah.
you've
And that comes with
killed
time,
that
right?
lately.
Yeah.
So,
Because you expect a laugh and then you don't get one, then it becomes awkward. And then suddenly you get a laugh and you're like, but now I'm ready to tell you my next bit.
yeah.
Yeah, that is pure, like that's practice on stage, right? That's just stage time. The only way you get that is by doing it. And to a certain degree, sticking with the same set. Like I commend anyone who can write 100 jokes a week and then try a new five every time.
Yes.
Never worked for me. I've had the same core for the whole time almost and tweaked and changed little bits, but the opener's always been a bit of a struggle. But I did, and I'll answer the question in a second, but I know I'll lose my trail of thought. I did, um, my opening line that I'll tell you in a second is my current one, got no reaction from the crowd and went, well, this is going to be a struggle, and spent the rest of the gig going, well, you're not going to like that. That doesn't work. That was rubbish. But when I watched it back, there was laughter right the way through and they seemed to enjoy it.
Well, like the
Whereas
self
I thought
deprivation.
it, yeah, well, and that's one of my kind of main traits in my comedy anyway. But I thought it was a terrible gig. I got off the stage and went, that was shit. And then watched it back and went, oh, the audience loved it. So I like to watch it back because in the moment, you get the adrenaline, you get the rush, you get the hit, and then you go, was it good? Was it bad? So I always record. I've also learned to like improve the quality because I post loads of little bits online. I've now got a little microphone like inside my jacket. So the sound
Oh,
for the
that's a good
online
idea.
stuff is better. Yeah, you like a little plug into the phone, so it Bluetooths, stick it inside your jacket. But if you put it in the wrong place, you can hear it rustle and then it covers the sound. So I'm learning at the moment where's the best place to put it and pin it and all of this stuff because I'd post videos online and everyone's like, oh, that sound, we can't hear it. The quality's rubbish. So and that's another expense, right? It's another, oh, here we go. I've got to think about that. So I've got the tripod I've got to set up every time. I've got the microphone. Then I've got to get my watch ready. Then I've got to get my jacket on because I put it on just before I'm going to go on. So people are a bit like, oh, didn't see that coming. There's all these little bits. And that can completely throw you if something goes off plan or if you get called up when it's not your time, you're like, oh, I'm not ready. You've got to mess around. So it's just juggling what you need to do.
Would you say
Um,
your character on stage is an alternative persona, or would you say you are just being yourself on stage?
I'm pretty much mostly being myself. I think. I mean, there's a little bit. It gets dialed up a little bit, of course, but I'm not a high energy jump around kind of comedian, right? I'm pretty
Yeah.
low key, low energy, and just kind of sometimes the odd rant and the odd moan, which seems to work quite well because people like to see a middle aged man moan about stuff, right? So yeah, that is something I've kind of fit in more into that persona because a jacket wearing middle aged guy, like where does it work? How do I fit the jacket into what I'm trying to talk about, what I'm joking about? There isn't always the correlation. So that's still work in progress, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. And have
Um,
you still got what's your cat's names? Cock Block and
Joey and the Cock Block.
Joey and the Cock Block. Brilliant.
Yeah,
That made me chuckle. I've got to admit. Uh,
that is a line I've had from day one. That it's in. I'm learning to take it out of some sets, but I know that's a joke I know will work most of the time. But last week I went, yeah, Joey and the Cock Block because that's exactly what my wife is. I'm like, oops, I've just called my wife the Cock Block in my relationship with my cat. That's not good. But it's those little mistakes get a bigger laugh, and you're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
oops. But and you can't replicate it. Sometimes those in the moment things you can't always do again,
yeah,
but
yeah.
sometimes they
He'll
work.
kills once and then bombs the rest, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and there's it's knowing when to retire a joke, right? You try it 3 or 4 times. If you try it once and it doesn't work, you can't just go, I won't do it again. You've got to try it a good 3 or 4 times with a reasonable sized room to know if there's any legs in it.
yes,
And otherwise you go, all right, I'll drop it out because it's not working, which I've got one at the moment, but I'm still trying to get my head around whether or not it'll work.
okay.
Um, but my opener at the moment is almost depends on the age of the audience. Look at my brain; it jumps around so much. I
Well,
swear.
it's funny because my
Um,
next question is, what's your perfect type of audience? So
oh,
you've really done this one for me.
you're welcome. And it's only my second podcast. It's not like I'm sitting there going, "Oh, I know exactly what he's going to say next." I just kind of talk. Yeah, no, my opener at the moment is I've been struggling a bit with my concentration and my focus, so I bought some tablets
Yeah,
online to
yeah,
help. Right,
yeah. See you.
but I got them on TikTok, so they only last about 35 seconds.
Yeah,
So
that was
anyone who
brilliant.
doesn't know TikTok, don't know that joke, right? It's lost on them a little bit, and you almost want to explain it, but as soon as you do that, you've lost it anyway.
Yeah.
But I've tied that into another joke I had about memory loss, so I can call back to it. With my next joke, it's a call back straight to it. So
Yeah.
it generally kind of works. Some people don't quite know why it works. This sounds really like big headed, and that's not my style. But some of my jokes, I think, are a little bit too smart. Like I'm asking the audience to think a bit too much about them. I think they're a little bit cleverer than they need to be for what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Like, and that does sound really like egotistical and like American comedian style of look at me, I'm amazing, and that's not where it comes from. But
I
when
don't think
I
you're
think a
not coming
joke,
across that
yeah,
way. You're not coming
no,
across that way at all.
and I don't normally on stage, right? But you know when you know what you're trying to say in your joke, and you know exactly what's behind it, and people don't laugh when you think they're going to, and you're like, oh, okay, is it me? Because last week they laughed at it. Last week they got it. Yesterday they got it.
Mm.
So how come they don't now? And you're not supposed to blame the audience, right? Never blame the audience. But when every single comedian at a gig bombs, you go, okay, maybe it's not just me. Maybe it is the room.
Yeah. Maybe.
But you know,
Okay, so my follow question of that one that we haven't got to yet, which I'm quite happy about. So I I was meant to do a gig on Monday. It was an open mic, and it was for a LGBT venue, but
hmm
anyone could go. I decided this isn't for me because I don't think some of my jokes will land.
yeah,
When you first start out, are you better off just doing anything, every gig possible, or do you sort of need to say to yourself, I haven't got a following yet, but I know how I picture my following down the line, and I just know that this isn't going to work here, but it is going to work there. So the question is,
yeah.
should you just do every room you possibly can, or should you still, do you know what I mean,
That
reserve?
is a good question. I think that you've already got enough self-awareness in your own material to know if you think it won't work, which means you probably shouldn't do that room, right? If you think you're going to cause offense to a whole group or to a room full of people, yeah, either don't do that joke or don't do that room.
It's more
But
that I just don't. I'm not their stereotype, and I know
yeah, but
you can't say that it's a wide blanket, but
yeah,
yeah,
you've got to try any room and any audience, right? To try your material out. So if you don't have anything that you know is gonna offend or like upset most people, like you can upset one person in the room, fair enough. But if you upset a whole room, that's gonna kill your set anyway, right?
mm,
So either you change one or two jokes and take those bits out,
mm,
or try a different room. But I've tried a few different rooms. My material doesn't suit some rooms. Like if I've done one or two LGBTQ nights, and they're a really receptive audience. They're there for a laugh, and like some of the
100%.
recordings I've got are some of the best clips I've got. And really organized room, and they make it a really safe space for you to be yourself, to try your material out. So I say try as many different rooms as you can, try different places, but just be aware of what material you're doing, and then have the the ability to pause yourself and not say something,
Yeah,
or to think like, who knows what their audience is going to be like. I've got some followers online. I don't know if they follow or like what I do, or if it's just me bullying my friends into talking like, all right, shut him up, let's just like it.
yeah,
So you never really know what your true following is until you get to a Jimmy Carr stage, right? Of know the audience knowing him.
yeah.
Like,
Well, there's that point. Yeah, he doesn't need to appease anyone. He can. Um,
yeah,
it was more the fact that as I'm not gay, as I'm not down the bracket, none of my material relates to them. So mine's
same.
very at the moment. It's very German. It's in the middle of the pack. I've got some controversial stuff, but I haven't even touched it.
Yeah,
So that was
100% do it. I say go to the rooms and try it because
to everything and learn the hard way. I mean, you
yeah,
learn best from
and if nothing else, it's stage time, right?
yeah,
And then ask, like, you can even ask for feedback. Like, ask the hosts and stuff at the start before you go on, and go, if you get a chance, give me some feedback on, is there anything I can do? Like certain places, the MCs will give you so much advice, so many tips and hints, and you
yeah.
learn from it that way. Like,
And also, it'd be
there's a
great to
lot.
get a video of people booing you consistently. I think I would
Yeah,
still
I mean,
upload
yes and no.
it.
It could be fun, but also like, and I made the mistake of, not mistake. I recorded my first gig and then shared it. You should really record, watch them back yourself. Only really, apparently, so they say, start to share it once you've got gold in there. Like, because in your first 5, 10 gigs, it's not polished. You're still new. In your first
Yes.
100 gigs, you're not a polished comedian, right? So if you're sharing it online, you're almost allowing the audience to see you fail, if you like, depending on how big a clip you do.
Would you not feel like that humanizes you though a little bit,
Yeah, I
like the
mean, I do it.
journey?
Yeah, I think it does. And that's what I say. It's opinion and like depends on who you speak to. Some people say share everything. I share occasionally. I'll share a long full set, like on YouTube. I'll share a full set.
Mhm.
So if you watch my first set and then watch my last one, you'll see
I,
some
I've
of the
I've seen
same
them both.
jokes, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen them
Yeah,
both.
you'll see some of the same stuff
Yeah.
in there, but you'll see a difference in how I was, how you're stood, how you like breathe, how you everything. It's you notice all of these differences, so you can see the progress. But you don't get many views for a full set. People don't have the attention span,
No.
hence the concentration piece as well, right? But if I put a short on, it'll rack up a couple of hundred views, and you're like, well, where did that come from?
Out
Why
of
does
nowhere.
like 6 people want to watch 10 minutes and 1,000 people want to see 30 seconds? It's
Yeah.
so like understanding like when to post, what to post, the short clips, what to tag, like that in itself, it becomes a full-time job almost.
Fortunate enough, I think that is one of my strong suits, the social
Yeah.
media aspects. I'm quite fortunate on that. But final question is going to be because we haven't gone. What has been your favourite room so far?
Oh, that's a good question. It's going to hurt a lot of people. Where did this get shared? Who do I
Or
upset? No,
you shout
you know
shout
what?
out a couple if you want. Yeah, don't just do one.
You know what? Actually, so there's one or two. Like, so I go on loads of Facebook groups, and like that's how I find a lot of the gigs. So when people post up, where do I find gigs? Where do I go? I've probably got 3 or 4 that I will always put on my recommend list.
Which
They're
are
not always the best nights, not always the best room, but I would say Big Nose Comedy.
okay, big nose. Yep,
Um, they do a gong show, which is the friendliest gong show in the world,
yep,
on a Wednesday night, and they do Thursday nights, which is in Highgate. That was
yep.
my first, so I've got like, yeah, a love for that. G&B Comedy,
D&B comedy.
um, do about 4 different nights a week, 5 nights a week. Record sets, gives you feedback, so and post up stuff online about the act as well. So I like G&B. Slap and Giggle Comedy, because the guy that runs that was on my first charity night, and he now runs 4 of his own. So I like Slap and Giggle. That's always a good night. And then there's a couple others that I guess I've done once, but not always got a chance to go back there. So also actually another one that's good, and it links back to the one that you cancelled out. Queer Comedy Club in the Elephant and Castle.
Okay, well,
Great room.
I'll have to give them a look. Philip, I'm gonna have to pause it there, but it's been absolutely
Cool.
fantastic having you on. Okay.
Been a pleasure. We'll catch up soon. I'll see you on the circuit.
See you soon, Philip. Take care.